So in this segment, it's called Ask a Coach video. And what we do in this Ask a Coach videos is one of my YouTube subscribers puts a comment and requests either a topic or a video. And if I feel like it's going to be really entertaining and valuable enough, I'll go ahead and make a video and give you a shout out. So this is from one of my YouTube subscribers named Eske Eske or Eske Eske, Eske twice. So this is a guy who I'm assuming is based off of the research, a little bit of research that I found on his YouTube channel, maybe mid 20s. He's an up and coming musician, so maybe go ahead and give him a shout out or check him out and see if you like his music. So I'm just going to read to you what he wrote. He says, I'm a young musician and struggle with differences in my voice. Sometimes I wake up and have a deep, warm voice, and then again, sometimes I can talk almost like a girl. I'm wondering if there's a way to make an anchor, we're talking about NLP here, and in a way that would give me access to this deep voice anytime that I need. I also know that it's something to do with stress and mirroring the voices of people I recently talked to. So this is kind of like he's been around people and he starts to talk like them, which is totally fine and normal, especially at that age. Not taking into account things like stretching my muscles around my throat is another topic. So he's a musician and I too have vocal coaching and we have to do different things to warm up. I know it's a very unusual question. Anyways, thanks for making the videos on this topic. You're one of the few people on YouTube who go into detail on how everything works specifically and keep things entertaining. So thank you very much. And that's what I like to go for. And like the fact that you don't say ah, keep up the good work. So thank you very much. And here's what I have to say. Here's how I would coach this. So if we were going to do coaching one-on-one and if we were having a conversation, based off your age, based off of what you're sharing with me, I would lean towards it's more of a deeper psychological thing, meaning every human being, we have these things called parts psychologically. So it can get really technical and really deep. I'm going to try going high level, even though I'm going to give a lot of information in this video. Parts are different than personalities. I say personalities are more spiritual, and I say that parts are more psychological. So I'm going to talk about parts for this video. Parts are maybe a part of me wants to do this, part of me wants to do that. If I'm going out to eat, what do I want? Do I want quick convenience, fast food? Do I want to cook for myself? Do I want to go to a nicer restaurant? Sometimes we're torn, we're split. There's a part of us that wants one thing, but a different part that wants another thing. Part of me wants to go out and achieve my dreams. I want to become financially free. Another part is scared to put myself out there, right? I'm just giving examples for that. So the thing with it's interesting about parts is parts can be different ages and they also can be different levels of consciousness. What does that mean? Well, when we're born as a baby, we're born, let's just say, one whole being. There's no ego that anybody has. We're one whole being. Whatever we experience, whatever goes through, whatever situations happen in life, we fully experience it. That's why like a lot of babies and children cry a lot because they cry when they're hungry, cry when they're wet, cry when they're cold, cry when they can't communicate. So younger children or really babies and really early toddlers, they communicate really through their body language instead of their voice with words. Now, when the ego strikes, hits, arises, usually around the terrible twos, before the ego hits, there's this one being, there's this being that's just conscious, really, or consciousness, and everything in its environment, it's the baby. So the parents are fighting, the baby takes it on, and things like that. Now, when the ego happens, now there's somebody there. Instead of I am experiencing this whole thing, my whole world is the universe. My parents are like gods because that's how children experience their parents when they're young. But instead of that, now I'm somebody too, and I'm trying to find my boundaries and figure who I am out in the world and what I'm all about. And when there's the ego, there can be these things called parts or a fraction of people that can happen. So if this is birth, here, let's just say it's 2 years old for you who's watching. It's not exactly how it is, but it's in the ballpark. And before the ego happens, you fully experience things, there's no carryover if it's not too super traumatic. But then the ego happens. Now, instead of hurt happening and I'm experiencing hurt, now I'm hurt, or you hurt me, or you're not loving me. There's a sense of separation. And when any one of us as human beings doesn't have the ability to fully experience something, Or when the people around us don't have the ability to coach, parent, guide us through that, if it's too much for our nervous system to experience, there's a psychological separation called a part. I'm not going to necessarily get into dissociative identity disorder. It used to be called multiple personality disorder. That's extreme trauma. That's a whole different conversation. Everybody has parts, and everybody needs to, on the path of self mastery, integrate those parts. So we started talking about this topic, and then we kind of dove deep into the setup with it. Now we're going to kind of circle back to what this means and how it means for you. So I would coach, and my intuition 100% of me says there's been something in your past that needs to be upgraded, needs to be healed, needs to be addressed, needs to be connected or integrated. And there's some parts of you that have, maybe it's the age you are today. I'm going to say mid 20s at the time of this video, maybe your late 20s, but somewhere in the 20s, my assumption is. So in the moment, maybe you be this, making up a number, 28-year-old man, and you are in this moment and you're doing great. Other times, there's younger parts can come up. Now, this can be really extreme or it can be subtle or mild, but we all have that. Like, think about, man, I can't remember. I've been watching The Sopranos lately. I'm a little late bloomer. It's 2021, and I just started watching The Sopranos. And there's one of the guys who was talking like, he's a really tough Italian guy, he's a mobster guy in the Sopranos. But then he's like around this one of his girlfriends or wives or something like that, and he's talking like a baby, but then doesn't want the other guys to know. So every single one of us has inner child, right? We don't feel well. We might talk like a little, like our locus might soften. We might have need more attention other times. Sometimes we can give more attention. Sometimes, we need to be mama bear, papa bear, so to speak, and defend. There's just different parts have different energies, volumes, cadences. We can speak, people that speak really fast, maybe are in their head, or people that are just really grounded and really connected can speak like that. So when it comes to musician, when it comes to communication, these are just things that need to be worked on. The greatest musicians in life, the greatest communicators, usually have some sort of vocal coach and coaching. They go into the psychological world, and here's one I give you one that's all I'm gonna give you. I went into the psychological world in which two, geez, look what's going on. We go into the psychological world and we focus on what is going on, because it doesn't matter what perspective you are at life. It doesn't matter what profession you are. The personal self is going to come over into the professional self. So you need to work on yourself, and then you also need to work on your instrument. I know you know a little bit about that, or a lot about that, working on your vocal instrument, stretching the muscles, doing the warm-ups. But for you specifically, my friend, I feel that there is parts that come up. And when there's a fraction of parts, when there's a separation, forever, your unconscious mind is going to continuously, every once in a while, I don't know when or how, I don't know what the timer is, but I guarantee it always happens for 100% of people. The younger parts will come up, and they want to be connected, they want to be paid attention to, they want to be integrated. If you don't do that, if you shove it down, it goes over into the spiritual or the emotional world, which is what's called an emotional charge. That's when you see people getting triggered. That's when you see people, emotional volcanoes. And we don't want that to happen, especially in professional situations or situations where you need to have it together or be balanced. Now, the other thing is wherever the initial happening, like the other experience happened when you were younger that maybe caused the separation, let's say it has to do with family. Well, every time you might come around family or family situations, it might activate that part to become healed or addressed. If it had to do when you're playing baseball in Little League and you got hit by a pitch and somebody yelled at you, making up stuff, it's going to be around those situations too as well. So that's what I would say, and that's what I would coach is there's younger parts that are coming up to be communicated and they're not fully integrated. Now, how do you do that? Well, in my style of coaching, I would find exactly what the root cause is, what this part needs, and help it get its needs met. I don't know if it's going to be a subconscious mind training, something you have to do with repetition. I don't know if it's going to be an unconscious mind change work where you actually find the mental structure of it and then take parts of it, move it to somewhere else where have those resources. So as far as anchoring goes, could you do just an anchor? In the infinite possible world of possibilities, sure, it is possible. But I don't think that's what it is for your case. I don't feel that's what it is for your case. I feel like there's a little bit more change work. I feel like there's a little bit more going into that younger part and doing upgrading. Anchoring is getting a specific state or specific response, and maybe you have a word, maybe you push a button on your finger, so to speak, and you can just actually fire and trigger that. Anchoring happens at a certain level of depth and a certain level of consciousness within a person. So sometimes that some problems can just be solved with you didn't know something and then you go do something. Other times you have to go deep into the unconscious mind. Sometimes you can do anchoring, and sometimes there's nothing you can do other than you need to repeat, 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 repeat until it becomes an automatic response. So I gave you a lot of information. I hope this helps. I hope you got a lot of good golden nuggets out of this one. And it's so interesting because I said ah 4 times and I never say ah generally speaking, but here we go. I'm bringing it to my conscious awareness. Thank you for sharing with it. And if you have any more videos that you guys want to me to expand on or expand on, I'll go ahead and do that. So write it in the comments. I know I sound like Barack Obama. But anyways, maybe we'll delete this, maybe not. Maybe we'll edit this. But anyways, thank you for watching this video, and let's keep this interaction going, this dialogue going. I have a lot of experience, and let's just see what I can come up with. Let's see what you can come up with for video topics and ideas, and let's see what I can come up with as solutions. And my intention is to help you get to that next level and to become a better version of yourself every day. So thanks for watching. See you in the next video.